Okay, got it. Okay, so first of all, thank you all for coming. This conversation will be something between an update, a brief, maybe like exposing to different kind of perspectives and conclusions about what's going on here in Israel. First of all, I also want to thank you all for coming and for all your support to Israel, to Im Tirtzu, to the IDF, of course. On this conversation, on this Zoom conversation, I want to do it in this way. First of all, I want to use, just a second, I will mute my mobile. By the way, I came today from Kisufim. Kisufim is 2 kilometers from Gaza Strip. Places that, and more kibbutzim in the area where was the massacre. Very terrible. But from the other hand, I must tell you that the soldiers over there are like really hardcore, very strong, very with a lot of faith, and it was amazing to see them. I came because, as you know, we are doing a lot of very intensive line of supply for the soldiers, and I wanted to see in my eyes the need of the soldiers. I wanted to speak with the soldiers on this war. Personally, I wasn't drafted because I'm 43, and my tank unit is until the age of 40. So this is that's the reason that I'm not on uniform. On this conversation, I want to share with you conclusions from, as I said to you, from different kind of perspectives. I asked from Douglas Altabef, our chairman of the board, to give his conclusions and his thoughts on the situation in Israel from his perspective. As someone who immigrated from the States, has a lot of perspectives. He also volunteered a lot, so he's very important. Another guy that after him I asked to talk, that he will talk, is Shachar Golan. Shachar is now in Miluim, even now he's in uniform. So thank you, Shachar, for find the time. Shachar is in a cyber unit. He's also a board member in Im Tirtzu. He's also a professor in the academia, and I want the people to hear also his perspective. Then after and those two, Douglas and Shachar, I would ask you to speak for a few minutes. You have a few minutes time, not too short, because talk, okay? We want to listen to you. But then I will start to bring to the conversation for short term a lot of people from my team. As you know, in Im Tirtzu, 80 or 85% of our activists and our team was drafted. So people are in Miluim, but still I want them to come even for 2 minutes to speak and share with you guys their conclusions. And also, I wanted our digital coordinator, Dov, that he survived the massacre in Sderot, and he will give us also his inputs, because even when the terrorists shoot on his door in the bloody Saturday, he still continued to communicate with me and with us, and think about messages to promote on social media in the time when terrorists are knocking on his door. As I see Dov as a hero, and I will also ask him to share his thoughts. So sorry for my long monologue, but this is the opening. After, if you guys will have patience, of course, we will open for Q&A, especially to Douglas and Shachar, if you will have the time to stay, and maybe Dov, because I know the rest of my team that is in Miluim, they will come only to say hi for 1 minute, and they will go down. Doug, start. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Matan. And good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us, especially during this very, very difficult and trying time. Allow me to start with a little bit of big picture and then to drill into some specifics. As we all know, this is Israel's 75th year, our diamond anniversary year. It's supposed to be a year of great celebration, of great recognition of what we have achieved. Instead, it has turned into what is arguably our most difficult, our most challenging, our most perilous year in our entire history. A few months ago, we were beset with divisive disagreements about judicial reform and the direction of our society. Today, that seems like ancient history. It's been replaced by true destruction, by horrific, barbaric monsters that we are all very, very aware of. You remember the name Esther Hayut? Esther Hayut was the president of the Israel Supreme Court. And depending on who you were, she was either Israel's great savior or she was public enemy number one, okay? Last week, she retired and no one even noticed. It was a blip. So that fact provides some real context for what's been going on here, because we have been beset by an attack of unprecedented and unspeakable proportions that makes everything that preceded it seem inconsequential. October 7th will be forever known, it already is and will always be known as the Black Shabbat. And it is a date that will never be forgotten here. I cannot overemphasize the shock, the trauma, and the total outrage that the attacks produced. The reaction of our society has been something that leaves us absolutely speechless. Remember a few months ago again, the distressing development that there were pilots, there were some officers who said, you know, if I'm called up for reserve duty, I'm not going to serve. I don't like what's going on here. I'm not going to serve. Well, guess what the turnout rate was, the mobilization rate was for the call up 2 weeks ago? 130%. 130%, which means every single person who was called up went, and tens of thousands who were not called volunteered to go. Many of you have probably seen the photos of the literally thousands of cars that have been lining the roads up here in the north and elsewhere in the country as reservists rush to their bases, rush to get to their bases, park the car on the road, and you literally can see them lined up for miles on end. That is Israel today. Now, if you were expecting us to share with you some secret inside insights as to what is going to happen next, either in Gaza or in Lebanon, well, I guess you're in for a disappointment, because we don't have any great insight, any inside information. And I even wonder if our decision makers have any inside information at this point. There are those who want an invasion tonight, and there are those who are very content to wait for any number of reasons to invade Gaza, either because of perceived American pressure or because of the need for greater comprehensive training of the reservists, or what strikes me as fairly compelling, the reality that we can continue to degrade Hamas from the air. And we can send and use, as we are doing, special ops forces to attack their infrastructure, and maybe even to look for the hostages. In other words, while time is of the essence, time is not necessarily of an urgency. I asked Matan, because he was down, as he said, down in the Gaza Strip, Sleeve today, tell me what did you perceive about the morale of the troops, which has been my great concern, that troops waiting around will lose their morale, their great enthusiasm. He said, no reduction in their morale. Everyone is pumped. Yes, they're frustrated they haven't gone in, but everyone is pumped up. That tells me a lot. So, as far as what happens next, it's anyone's guess, but let me tell you what is not anyone's guess. Let me tell you what everyone, at least here in Israel, absolutely insists on, and that is the demand that Hamas be destroyed and that Gaza be demilitarized. That is the vision, that is the plan, that is the goal. Everything else is just tactics and details. We all know the Chinese adage, may you live in interesting times, right? I feel very privileged to live in Israel today. I feel very privileged to be part of this society and to be living at a moment that I think will forever in my lifetime define not only the people of Israel, but the Jewish people themselves. And, the critical difference between the pogroms of Russia and the pogroms of October 7th is that today we can do something about it. And doing something about it doesn't even begin to describe what we are doing now and what we will be doing in the weeks to come. Basically, the whole country has gone to war. Some are wearing uniforms, others are caring for the families of those who have been called up, and still others are making certain that those who will and are defending us are adequately clothed and fed and equipped. There is literally no town, no city in this country, urban, rural, rich, poor, left or right, that is not part of the home front. Those of you who have seen the videos that Im Tirtzu has been sending knows that the effort to help our soldiers has been very targeted, very specific, very effective, and above all, wildly appreciated. I want to thank each of you for your thoughts, for your prayers, your expressions of concern, and of course, for your support in helping us to help our soldiers and our people. This will be a long effort, but we have the determination to see this through because we have no choice but to see this through. And we thank you for your continuing to help and support us all. Am Yisrael Chai, and Matan, back to you.
So thank you very much, Doug. Later on, I'm sure that a lot of people here want to ask you questions and develop a conversation. We will do it on the next round. So thank you. Shachar, now I want you also to give your conclusions. I got from Doug a few things. One is the concern about what the soldiers are feeling, and I got a lot of hope that he gets from the volunteering spirit that there is in the Israeli society, in Im Tirtzu, in other organizations. But give us also your opinion from your unit, your soldiers, and so on and so on. Give us your input on what's going on as you see it.
Thank you, Matan. And it's really good to be here among friends, the friends of Im Tirtzu. And I want to connect to what Douglas said about this moment in time being a time where we need to change what it means to be Israelis and what it means to be Jewish, to be Jews. There is a sentence that Netanyahu once said. He said the leftists forgot what it is to be Jews. And I want to take this and paraphrase it a bit. What Netanyahu meant is that Jews are always being hated, and they're also always threatened, and they also always need to defend themselves. Otherwise, they will be killed. So this is of course true, but I think that the truth is much wider, and I think that we all, as Israelis and Jewish around the world, forgot what it is to be Jews. And I want to take you from the current times to the wider historic context. And when we talk about the Jewish people, the real roots of the Jewish people, the Jewish people is a people which was said that it is a people that rises like a lion. It's a strong people. Strength is something that we have in our roots, and justice is something that we have in our roots. And the fact that today strength and justice is something that is considered to be opposites, it's really something that we should know, and we should remember, we should recall that as a people, we are a symbol of a people that is strong and a people that is just, a people that is victorious. We have in our history the King David, and we have the Maccabites, and we have all of these stories that we have, that we should take as part of our identity as a people. We are also a light unto the nations. So we have a duty here. We have a duty to show what it is to be a people, like a nation. So this is our duty. We have a role, a historic role in this in the world. And although we're here with many friends from around the world, the Jewish people is also a people that it is said that it's a people that dwells apart from the nation. So I take this horrible event that we all experienced, and I see it as a wake-up call to remind us who we are, because we forgot and we were sleeping, and while we slept, the most horrific things that we can imagine, and things that we cannot imagine, things that even I want to tell you that I'm you know, the network is full of very graphic videos and really horrible things, and I cannot open any of these, but even reading like textual description is something that keeps me awake at night. So this is really a wake-up call, and I think that we must wake up. There is no choice in this matter, and in this sense, I'm very proud to be here in Im Tirtzu, where Im Tirtzu I see it as a movement that is the renaissance of the Jewish people. It is the wake-up call that we keep calling out to all of the Israelis and to all Jews wherever they are in the world, and tell them, we are Jews, we are Zionists, we remember who we are, we have our holy places, we have Hebron, and we have Jerusalem, and we have the Temple Mount, and we have our more recent history, and we have a democracy here, and we want to be a people like we should be. We should be strong. We should take the term of victory and put it as part of our vocabulary, because wherever I ask someone what is the goal when you are in war, I asked my children, what is the goal when you are in war? And they started telling me, we are trying to I don't know, not to, so that the soldiers are not harmed. And they told me that the purpose, the goal is to defend ourselves. And I told them, no, when we are in war, our goal is victory. And this is what we should remember. And this is what we should wake up from this dream that we were dreaming. And this is something that Im Tirtzu is taking on itself to remind us that victory is a word that we should remember and drive to.
Okay.
Yes. So yes.
I'm
Matan?
afraid that Matan Asher will need to go soon, so we need to
Okay.
a little bit.
So okay. So these words, I really want to thank you, and I'll give the floor back to Matan. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Shahar, and later on, if people will want to ask you questions, I hope you will have the time to stay also on the morale in the cyber unit and what's going on over there. You didn't touch it, and later on, I will be happy if you will. But I asked Matan, I know that you are in the south and you are very busy, so thank you for being with us. It was important for me that from our team that is now in Miluim, you will be the first one, because you are a very practical guy. You are our spokesperson. You are working also for us in front with the politicians in the Knesset. So I'm sure you have a lot of, and you're a combat fighter. So give us your inputs in the time that you have with us.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm hoping that you can hear me correctly. Sometimes there are several booms. We are right now 3 kilometers from the border with Gaza. 3 weeks ago, we literally jumped with our clothes, with our Shabbat clothes, and drove as fast as we could to our base, because we heard that and we saw the pictures from Sderot and from other cities. And since then, we are defending the border. Our platoon had the privilege to kill a few terrorists over the last few weeks. Our mission right now, and nothing that I say here is not confidential at all, so don't worry. We are defending the southern region, because Gaza has the north region and the southern region, and supposedly most of their terrorists are in the north. So the IDF is afraid that maybe they will use it and try to surprise us from the south. Until now, it hasn't happened, and we are here and we are strong. So first of all, let me say a huge thank you for all of you for your amazing support. I will give you an example. We are guarding the villages here around the border, and sometimes we are doing it in the night. Sometimes it can be for 2 hours, and we had more than 5, 6, more than 10 nights that we didn't sleep at all just to be there because there is an alert that the terrorist is going to come. And it was really, really cold. And we didn't think about, you know, when you get a call from your commander, you don't think about nothing. I just took my clothes. I didn't take anything, just stormed and drove as fast as I could. So with your support, my entire platoon, more than 80 people, got winter clothes. I don't remember the meal, I don't remember the word, but we got winter clothing for all of the platoon. And this is amazing. You must understand that everything that you do, the soldier here in the field, we appreciate it so much, and it helps us so much. I know for a fact that there are more than 200 soldiers that got tactical suits from Im Tirtzu, because the problem is that more than 100% of the soldiers came. There are many, many soldiers who are above the age that is required to be in the military, 40, 45. We have here someone who's 65 years old, and the army doesn't have enough things for them. So with your support, I know for a fact, because I see these soldiers right here next to me, that they can sleep at night well, and they are not freezing in the cold, and they have tactical suits, and it's really, really amazing. So just let me say this, it's really heartwarming. If I have one more or 2 more minutes just to share a few thoughts about what's happening. So I think we are in a Holocaust. What happened a few weeks ago, it's nothing that we have ever seen, besides what happened in Poland and Germany and in entire Europe. And the problem is that I think until now, Israel has not responded as if it's an Holocaust. Because if you're in a Holocaust, then you must avenge. You avenge your people. You avenge all of the... I'm right now 2 kilometers from a village that's called Nir Oz. Nir Oz has only 400 residents. More than 150 of them are gone. There are at least 100 that's missing, that were kidnapped. Some of them haven't been found yet, and more than 30 are killed. So entire village, more than 33% of the village is gone. And we were driving there, and we had a few missions there over the last weeks, and you see it and you just don't believe that something like that can happen in the state of Israel. And the problem is that with the soldiers, we understand it. Most of the commanders understand it, but the problem is that as long as you continue the leadership and the IDF, the leadership of the army and all of the statesmen, as long as they delay the attack, the ground attack, I think and I feel that the world is getting more and more less patient, more and more impatient, and more frustrated that, you know, Gaza, there's a blockade, there's no fuel, there's no gas. And I think that a state and the people that want to defend themselves, if you feel like you're in a Holocaust, you must respond accordingly. So I can tell you only this. I hear a lot of publications, also abroad, also here in the media, that the IDF is not ready. But let me tell you something. You will never find in any place in the world soldiers that are more ready than what we are, because we know that maybe we'll not come back. I mean, for example, I have a very complex mission, because I'm in a platoon that must evacuate all of the injured. But from what we understand, all of the terrorists are waiting backwards. So maybe if we enter and we are in the back of the forces, the terrorists will come from underground. But we know that there's no other people to do it. You can find in my platoon lots of people that were that come from the left wing, from the right wing, but we all agree that there is no other option. Hamas must be eradicated from the map, and vengeance must be applied. It's not something, we don't want to kill any civilians, but if the leadership understand it, then you must act accordingly. And any more delay, 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks, I feel like it's just an excuse to tell, well, we are afraid that the soldiers will die. Well, let me tell you something. In a war, soldiers died. It's not something that it's so. I prefer to endanger my life and not see what I saw over the last weeks. House burned, bodies all over the streets. We literally were guarding houses that were burned. We were on alert. Over the first week, we were on alert, and one of the terrorists slept in one of the houses and tried to stab one of my friends, 20 meters from where I was. So we understand the mission. We know that it's going to take time. We know that there's a huge chance that not all of us will come, but we expect from our leadership to understand that if we are really in a Holocaust, then we must act accordingly. And just to say one more sentence, for me, it's amazing to see how so many things that we are speaking in Im Tirtzu for so many years. I'm the spokesperson for the last 2.5 years. Let me give you an example. More than 100 students were expelled from their universities because they support terror. And we are shouting and protesting for these things for the last 3 years, non-stop, and nobody did anything. All of the heads of the university did nothing. And I'm really happy to see that all of the things, for example, Matan wrote a very interesting article 5 years ago that the orders to open fire in the border are not according to what's happening right now. And now in the war, everybody says, yes, there was a problem. It was not good enough. The soldiers didn't know what to do. Well, it's very unfortunate that we understand it after so many lives that are lost. But we hope, and we see it right now, that the public in Israel understands that what was until now cannot continue. And we have a huge mission, not only, to give soldiers stuff. It's amazing. It's the most important mission right now, but also to build a new society which can agree that supporting terrorism is not acceptable, that the punishment for terrorists must be much, much more fierce and much, much more strong. And all of the things that you, by supporting Im Tirtzu, enable us to do. And it's so amazing, and I thank you for that. And I must tell you, many people didn't know exactly what we do before I came here, because they hear only about the legal reform. But now, after they see what we are doing, I think that we are going to have a very important role in building the new political system after the war. And your support is very, very important, because we are not going to neglect the situation. We are not going to forget. What happened will never be forgotten. We are going to stay strong and see that everybody who supports terrorism will be expelled, expelled from the university, will be punished. Everything that we have shouted and protested for so many years, that will be the new basis for how we should act. And thank you very much, and thank you for the privilege to talk to you, and hoping that we'll all stay safe and win this war. That's for sure.
Matan, thank you very much. If you have the time to stay with us, it will be great. Maybe some people have questions for you. It will be in the next round. Dov, you are also, I want to share with people your perspective, because what happened to you in Sderot. Now, why it is very important. I will give you from my experience, me as a family man. When I saw what is going on in Sderot, I slept with my gun in my belt and my second bullet box in my pocket, and with my shoes for a week in my bed, because I understood that terrorists can really, it's not imagination. Terrorists can really knock on your door. And I know that I'm not the only one in Israel that in the first week of the war slept with the gun in the belt and just wait. And what is sleeping? No one sleeps. No one sleeps in Israel right now, right? We're sleeping like 1 hour, 2 hours a day top. But this is me, and I was far away. I was in small moshav, small village near Jerusalem. You were there. You were in Sderot. Give us, please, your a little bit about your experience, what happened there, and what are your thoughts and feelings and so on.
Okay, first of all, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So first of all, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to listen to us. I also want to apologize if my English is not very clear. Be patient with me. And also I want to say that I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'll be raw and emotional, and I believe you'll understand why. Also, another note, Matan, if I'm carried away or talking too much, please cut me off. So we'll be right on time and not waste anyone's time.
Done.
So, first of all, even before Saturday, I want you to understand something from my own perspective. Me and my older brother, on Thursday night, we talked about the fact that for a very long time, for days, even weeks, terrorists tried to enter Israel from Gaza. And actually, on Thursday night, we started talking, and we said that something is coming, like in the next few days. We understood it. So when the Saturday morning happened with rocket fire, we both of us weren't surprised by the rockets. Like we prepared for another escalation. So from my perspective, it's the fact that no one in the security system in Israel knew that something is going to happen is a huge failure, because even citizens like us, using only open source intelligence, figured it out. It's a big, big fail by everyone, government, security, whatever. So when I woke up on Saturday at 6:30 a.m., it was because of the alarms. There's a color red alarm in Sderot. And for me, it was not a big deal. Another escalation. Okay, I grew up in Sderot. It's going on for 22 years. For me, it's nothing new. But after a while, after a few minutes, a reporter friend, said to me, "There's a security situation in the south. Be careful." He didn't give much details, but I already put 1 + 1 together, and I figured out there are a few terrorists. But I thought maybe 2 or 3 terrorists in one of the kibbutzim. A few minutes later, I got the first video of Hamas terrorists on trucks, pickup trucks, driving through the gates of the city. And at first, I was startled. I thought it was a fake thing. And later on, I started hearing fires, bullet fire. The thing is that most of the attacks were pretty close to my home. One of the let me just put it this clear. Okay, I'm a survivor of a massacre. I'm a survivor of the Sderot massacre of the Black Saturday. Okay, about 700 meters from my home, there was a huge massacre of the elderly people in a bus station. Okay, now as you know, there is no public transportation on Saturday. It was a huge gathering of elderly that every few weeks they go together to the Dead Sea, and it was near the public library in Sderot. It's 700 meters from my current home, and about 200 meters from the apartment I was supposed to move with my fiancée. She's also an Im Tirtzu activist, and about 13 people were slaughtered there, like dogs. And in a few minutes, pictures from the scenes started flowing through WhatsApp groups. Okay, I saw dead bodies in that street and other places across the street, again near my home, and people filmed videos from their windows, and I saw how the terrorists are actually storming the Sderot police station, which was a huge massacre of itself. I don't know if you know, but there was a battle in that police station for more than a day, more than 24 hours. And they slaughtered most of those police, most of those policemen. Some of them, we know them. Many of them were friends of my brother from his childhood. And every few hours we get more names of people who died and pictures and videos of how they killed them, how they left them in the streets. Like, honestly, it's hard to describe. Pools of blood on the street with bodies, you know, hard to describe it. And some people that I know, one of my good friends, I figured out that evening that he was murdered even before he was in a bicycle ride outside of the road. He was practicing for a tournament, and they shot him at 7 a.m. Like dog, left him here, left him in the street for 24 hours. No one could reach him. No soldier, no police, no one could reach the place his body was left. They found his body the next day at 7 a.m. when he was shot. He called his wife and he told her that he was shot, and no one knew for 24 hours what happened to him. I figured out he probably died because there's no other explanation. Then yesterday I found out that when they found his body, they said that he didn't have face anymore. Like the shot blew up his face, nothing left. Now the thing is, since this whole massacre happened, and I knew there are terrorists in our town and close to my home, and the first thing that I did, I locked up my front door because our safe room is honestly shitty. Most of the safe rooms in Zrot are shitty, are not protective at all. Our safe room door can't be locked up, so I locked my front door. I live with my sick mother. She has disabilities, and I took a kitchen knife and a box cutter, and I changed my clothing. I wore tactical boots and 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 clothes that I could use to, I don't know, to run or whatever if I need. And I waited near my front door, and I said, you can ask Matan, you can ask other friends from Im Tirtzu. I said to many of them that I believe I'm going to die. I'm prepared to die. And I asked some of the people in Tirtzu, I asked some of them that if I'm being kidnapped, I ask them to do whatever they can to blow me up, okay, to send a plane or whatever to blow me up because I don't want to be kidnapped. And I was prepared to die, and I accepted it. And after I accepted it, and I was prepared with knives for this, I don't know, small chance that I could stab a fucking terrorist. Sorry for cursing, but I'm so emotional about this. But if I can at least one attempt of stabbing one of those fucking Nazis, I'll do it, because this is how we are in Im Tirtzu. We don't go down without a fight. I'm not going to cower down, not going to sit. I stand near the door for hours and waited, and I was doing whatever I can to be, alert. And at the same time, I was talking to Matan, and I started to try to think about how we can use the new media and digital platforms to do something about the situation. Okay, on one end, I'm preparing to die. I'm going to, I don't know, to battle. At the same time, Matan, let's do this, let's do that, let's think about it. What our message? What are we going to do? And Saturday was honestly, it's such a blur of grief and fear, and it was so hard. And on Sunday, we set up a Zoom meeting, and we are sitting at a Zoom meeting, and we hearing, and it was about my time to talk. I started talking, and Matan, if you remember, then there was an alarm in the background when I started talking, and the rocket fell in the city, hit one of the power towers, like the electricity was cut off. Okay, so during the Zoom meeting, the rocket fell. I was suddenly disconnected, and for almost the whole day, I didn't have electricity, no phone service, nothing. I couldn't be reached out at all. Now, I want you to understand something. I want to praise Im Tirtzu activists. Okay, it's insane. Later on, I found out that dozens, okay, I'm talking about more than 20 people from Im Tirtzu, past and present activists and crew members. Everyone tried to reach out, the IDF, the police, okay, even though there isn't currently a police in Sderot really, because most of them were slaughtered. People reach out to the IDF, to the police, to Sderot City Hall. Dozens of people tried to call and told them, find out what happened to Dov, okay? Dozens of people from all across the country, okay? Even Matan personally, okay? It was insane. Unfortunately, there was no manpower. Supposedly, there was no manpower to go and find out what happened to me and if I was killed or died or whatever. Here's a side note. I heard later on that some activists actually prepared to go like gun blazing into the road and try to search me up. Okay, people wanted to go gun blazing and search if I'm okay, because this is what Im Tirtzu are. Okay, we are warriors. We don't scare. We don't go down. And luckily, in the evening, the electricity was back up, and I had the internet again. Okay, still no phone service. And then I could fill the blanks for everyone, and that's when I heard of more people who died, and it was again a dark night. And that night between Sunday and Monday, Matan was with me. He was awake more than 24 hours. He was with me on the phone, on WhatsApp, and there was another terrorist attack very close to my home, a battle between terrorists and soldiers, and I sent Matan recordings of the gunfire, and I told him, Matan, I think I'm going to die. I don't know if I'll survive it. He said, no, it's okay. We'll talk in the morning. I told him, honestly, I don't know if I'll survive till morning. Luckily, I survived. Other people didn't. And on Monday in the afternoon, we heard that there are no terrorists in Sderot, which was apparently wrong, because there are still terrorists in Sderot till this day. And luckily, all of my family, 7 people, me, my mother, my brother, my sister-in-law, and their children, and even their small dog, we took 2 cars, we ran away, we found somewhere to stay in Tel Aviv. And during this whole time, except for the few hours for the day that I was disconnected, I kept working, I kept trying to build a program for us, for Im Tirtzu, for the digital platform, and I still, till this day, trying to work as much as I can to do my own part, to do my own part to support our troops, to support Israel. And I want you to understand, right now, currently, my situation is de facto, not only mine, but I'm talking about myself. Right now, de facto, I'm homeless. I'm uprooted. I'm a refugee in my own country. The country doesn't really take care of me and tens of thousands of others. Okay, it's insane that in Israel, 2023, tens of thousands of people are displaced because of a minor terrorist group. And honestly, I think that the main reason that I'm still functioning is because I have the support of Matan, of Im Tirtzu, of our activists. People come visit me all the time. People support me, show their support, and it helps me. And working in Im Tirtzu helps me a lot to deal with all this crap, because honestly, it's annoying. I'll tell you something else also. I want you to know that people from the BBC and other news outlets reached out to me because they figured out I'm from Sderot, and they found out about me through my Im Tirtzu connection or through the Im Tirtzu website. So Im Tirtzu was helpful for the first Hasbara, okay, for the Israeli advocacy on Saturday and Sunday, just because of me being part of Im Tirtzu. Im Tirtzu was very impactful, okay, because my small interviews to the BBC website made like explosion throughout website. So right now, this is my story. I'll tell you what I think we should focus on as an organization. Keep supporting our troops, making sure they have everything that they need to win against those Nazis. Think that we should keep pressuring the government to destroy Hamas entirely. And that's my main point. And thank you for listening.
Tov, God bless you. I hope you will stay online. The last guy that I wanted to speak, and then we will open it, is Alon. Alon Schwarzer is our smartest guy in the organization. He's the one who managing the organization with me, and is now in the north. Like, we cannot say where. Alon, I know that you're busy, but thank you. Can you give us your thoughts? Share with us your thoughts about what's going on in the minutes that you have.
Yes, sure. Hey, Matan. Hey, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we are here in the north, very close to the border with Lebanon. We came here, all my unit, 65 soldiers, and the Saturday that everything happened, we were already Sunday morning here in the border, like 12 hours after the unit was called by phone. We reached here and helped the soldiers and the units that were already here to protect the north, so nothing will happen here while everything is in the south. So the people came, and my friends and all the soldiers in the unit came with a lot of motivation to win, to help the IDF, to help Israel win this war. And we're here still, and only today, for the first time, people are going for 24 hours home. So, and we have here people with family, with kids, married. We have somebody here that had a baby 2 days before he was called. So you can see all Israel here, religious, not religious, from all Israel, from the south, from Sderot, people from Haifa, people from Jerusalem. It's very nice to see. And of course, the people, right when we got here and understood, we have very good equipment from the IDF, because we're a unit that practice a lot. We needed to have, the truth is, the Sunday after the war opened, we needed to have a practice in the south, very near Gaza. And so we all were already, we knew that we have the reserve, but we didn't know it will be a war one. So we were ready. So we have very good equipment from the IDF, because we're a good unit. But when it came, there were some little things that the IDF didn't have for us. And then Matan and all the people from Im Tirtzu, Dov, Benayahu, Yona Shai, and all the people that help us really reached to me and helped me to bring the equipment that we needed to the soldiers, some shoes, some things to provide us sleeping well, a lot of things that help us throughout the first days until the IDF will help us also. But so that was very good. And also not even my unit, all the units that I have here around me also, I send them to the Im Tirtzu guys, and then they help. So I think there's some of you that donated to us. So thank you very much. It helps us a lot, helps the unit, helps the soldiers, help us understand that we have all Israel people in our giving us the courage to win this war. And that's it, I think. So we are waiting to hear what will happen in the south, and we will provide the Israeli army and citizens what needed in the north border. And of course, even here, we want to be more aggressive with Hezbollah. We have in the few last days some success, but we want more. We want also that the people that live here in the north, and my family, my wife's family, is from a kibbutz near where I am. We want them to after the war can live here and not to be afraid of the Hezbollah that will do the same like the Hamas did in the south. So for us, the soldiers that are here, we want first, of course, to finish Hamas in Gaza, but we think it's a time also that we can give a big win also in the north. A lot of soldiers are here, and we believe we have the strength, the power to do it. And we will continue to be here until we will win this.
Alon, by the way, do you think the motivation of the soldiers in the north are high like in the south, or less because it's Hezbollah and they consider to be maybe better combat fighters than Hamas?
No, the motivation is very high. Everybody from the commander of the unit until the last soldier want to be more aggressive. The truth is we don't want to hide from the Hezbollah missiles that are trying now to hit us, hit the vehicles, and we want to be more aggressive. For now, the IDF program is not that offensive in the north, but we have a lot of success, even if it's not like we the soldiers want. We see in the last days a lot of Hezbollah terrorists killed before even shooting their missiles against the Israeli soldiers or citizens. So there are a success, not how much we wanted. But no, a lot of motivation. We want to do, like every soldier more than than what we're doing now. But still, everybody, of course, wants to win in Gaza, to win in the south. But here also, we're waiting to hear what we can do against Hezbollah. And nobody is afraid of the Hezbollah here. We will beat them.
God bless you, man. So, okay, Alon, toda raba. I will be happy if you will stay, but whatever you will decide.
Thank you very much.
Hi, guys, sorry. Everything's okay? Okay, so
We're
I
still
want
here,
now
right?
to... Everybody are here? Yes, okay. So we want to open for questions and for discussions. If someone has questions to Douglas, to Shachar, to Dov, to me, or now is the time. Please, now feel free. Just tell us the name and then to whom is the question.
Before we get a question, Matan, two things. I'm going to ask you to put up on the chat screen the link so that if anyone wants to donate to our effort to help soldiers, they can click on that link and do that, and it will be, of course, greatly appreciated. But I would also make one comment. It was interesting what Matan Asher said about he is in the rear of his unit because he's charged with clearing off the injured and worried that Hamas might attack from the rear. And when I heard that, I said, this sounds familiar. Oh, I know, it's Amalek. And that was what Amalek did, right? And we have to remember Amalek, who is the historic enemy, the forever enemy of the Jewish people, is embodied in Hamas as well. Hamas is ISIS. Hamas is Al-Qaeda, Hamas is Cossacks, Hamas is the Nazis, and above all, perhaps, Hamas is Amalek.
Yes, I cannot agree more. And yes, Leon, please.
Yes, my English not good, but my question is how is participates or conditionate Biden what to do? Who is taking the decision? The cabinet of Israel, or you have to listening what says the American, more important now. What is taking the decision, what the IDF doing? Understand?
Yes, and I will be happy, Shachar, if you will answer,
Yes,
because
so
I can give my inputs, but because of your involvement in what you're doing, I think it will be more interesting and more solid, your
okay.
answer.
So I think it's very relevant to what I said before, that the Jewish people is a people that dwells apart from the nations. So in essence, the Jewish people needs to know that it is different, that it is not normal people like all other nations. And although it's very important in our world, we have a global world, and everything is like a small village today. Everything is very close. We have to separate the need to have good friends that have shared interests. And I think that we have interests in the friendship of the United States, and the United States also has a lot of interests in Israel. So this is a symbiotic relationship and not a one-directional relationship. So I think that apart from the fact that we want to have good relations and we want to have shared interests, we need also to understand that we are not, we should not crave the love of other nations, because our experience shows that other nations love us best in one state, when we are dead. That's the horrible truth. So after the Holocaust, many nations supported us, and today many nations supported us, but our experience also shows us that this affection is very short-lived, and I expect that this support will last for a week, for 2 weeks, and if we need the support and we crave, and if they don't support us, we stop supporting ourselves, that would be a real problem. This will prove that we forgot what it is to be Jews. So I think, of course, that like Douglas said, we don't have a choice, and we will need at some point we will need to put a line and say, these are things that we cannot accept. There are some things that we cannot accept. We have to win this war. We don't have a choice. So this is my opinion. Thank you for the question.
I think that also one of the things, if I understood Leon, what he meant is like how deep is the involvement of the US in the decision making
Yes.
in the war room. And I think here, look, first of all, twice a year, there is a training between the US Army and Israel Army. It's the Joffrey Cobra, the very big training drill with the American forces that are in Europe. And so the IDF is trained twice a year, every 6 months, with the Americans. So the involvement is there. It's something that is familiar. But from the other hand, for many people in Israel, it was, a lot of people didn't get it very comfortable to see that in the war room, they are like, the Americans are there and trying to influence even more than what we got used to. I think one of the things that still people, but still a little bit patient with it, is because no one knows how big is the war. Is it only with Hamas, or will it develop to also to Iran and to other places? So I think that is the reason that even a lot of people who a little bit criticize the involvement of the Americans, they accept it and quiet about it, patient with it. But I know from some of the people that are involved, but yeah, I mean, in the political arena, but they are involved, they are saying that the Americans are not that influenced. They are suggesting, they are consulting, they are dominant, but they are not calling the shots. It's not, that's what
I want to add something that some people think that the United States sent its air carrier, airplane carrier to Israel because Israel is weak and because Israel cannot defend itself. And actually, the way I see it, the Americans sent its fleet because Israel is strong, because they do not want, because they know that if Israel will have to go into war in many fronts, they will not have the choice and will have to exact a lot of force, which will cause the war to be much, much, much bigger. So I think that we should understand that Israel can defend itself. It does not depend, its existence does not depend on other countries. It can defend itself. And like I said earlier, it's good to have good friends. We don't want to lose soldiers in wars that we do not have at this moment. But it's not that we are weak. We are strong, and the world knows it.
Leon, I think you've asked the $1 million question in terms of who's really calling the shots or who's trying to call the shots. A lot of people are very ambivalent about the Biden involvement. On the one hand, they see that his personal concern was sincere. On the other hand, let's be candid. How is he really running the show there? And the people around him, especially in the State Department, are famous for not liking Israel very much. The one thing that the U.S. continues not to do is to call out Iran. And that is very telling. And, to Shachar's point about why is this aircraft carrier here? Israel has never wanted any foreign army to fight for us or even with us. We've never asked for that. We've asked for armaments. We've asked for aid, but we've never asked for fighters to be with us. My concern is that this aircraft carrier is here so that in effect, things don't spill over to Iran. In other words, that maybe Hezbollah can be kept quiet, because if Hezbollah is not kept quiet and we have to really go after Hezbollah, there's a tremendous amount of sentiment in this country to go after the head of the snake. And the head of the snake, of course, is Iran. And that, for reasons that no rational person can understand, the United States doesn't want to get Iran all upset. They believe that somehow Iran can be part of some regional order. I mean, this is like delusional beyond belief. But so it's very hard to figure out exactly what they're doing. But the fact that they are not willing to call out Iran, to me, is very, very telling. And it's almost as if they're protecting Iran. One could argue that they're in effect trying to buffer Iran by being there to make sure that things don't get out of hand. It's crazy to say that, but it's not inconceivable.
Yes. Thank you very much for the answers. Very clear. No, the thing I ask is because I hear I hear today Obama talking, Guterres talking, so that was my concern. No, how they are a group. Guterres is near the Pope and Al-Tayeb, so it's confused.
Yes, it is. It is.
I sorry for interrupt. I see that another guy from our team is jumping in. Matan, you want to say hi to the guys? You're on mute.
Sorry.
You
Hey, how are everybody? I'm here in the north, Israel north, near Lebanon. And we just protect some village. The people in this village, all the people in here, they're going to another village in Israel, and we are here.
By the way, with Matan Giraffe is funny. He was now on vacation. He took vacation from the job, from the work, and he went to India for a month. And from a far away village in India, in North India, war started, and he just left everything, and now he's in uniform in the Golani Brigade. Nachon, Matan?
Yeah, can.
So you have something, one more message to us, or we will continue?
I think so. They have to say to everybody, we are strong, and all the soldiers here, they know what to do. They know we are protecting all the Jewish in the world, not just in Israel, and we win. We win, and thank you for everybody.
Thank you, Matan.
Bye-bye.
You're coming. Bye, Matan. Toda.
Bye.
Okay. So sorry for interrupt because he just jumped in and it was important for me to give him the opportunity. Doug, I think I caught you in the middle, no? Or Leon?
No, there's a very good question that was asked by Andrea Spindell about the options for governing Gaza after the war and the elimination of Hamas. So I don't know, Matan, maybe you want to start with that, and Shachar, you might want to add, and I might want to add something too.
I think that I'm trying not to say my own opinions here because I think it's more fascinating and more interesting to try to analyze what the people are saying, what are the ideas that are flowing around in the public arena. And I think Well, I think the majority in Israel are not talking about going back 100% to Gaza and make Gush Katif populated again. I think people are a little bit more modest. I'm talking about the ideas that you hear more. I think the people are, they're not talking about the day after in a long run, but talking about the understanding that it will take time to eliminate Hamas. It means that for few months, maybe a year, or maybe more, we will need to be more present in Gaza. And I think, of course, the left, some of the people in the left are still like, yeah, the best thing to do is to give them a state. But what is interesting here is the two big conceptions crumble down, and because of that, there is not right, like a strong answer that a lot of people talking about. One is the disengagement ideology was crumbled down. That's it. Like a lot of people thought that if you are going back, redraw from somewhere, it will be peace. This is what we did in Gush Katif, right? We took 8,000 Jews out of Gaza, and we thought it was peace. And now we saw this slaughter as a direct impact to the disengagement in 2005. But another conception also crumbled is that people believed that if Hamas will control in Gaza and the Palestinian Authority will control Judea and Samaria, then the threat of a Palestinian state will not exist because they are fighting between them. Everything will be okay. It's a solution. This conclusion also, in a way, crumbled because we cannot give a Nazi regime like Hamas control Gaza or anywhere, no matter what, because the threat is too high. So now, so in the middle, the people are just talking about the idea that we will need to be there for at least 1-2 years, break them until the end, and and let's see what will happen. I think that's my answer anyway, as I see it.
Shachar, what do you think?
So first of all, I again want to go to the historic context, and I think that some nations have in their culture a very militaristic concepts and ideas, and in particular, when we look at Gaza, I think that Gaza is the place that was corrupted for decades from the time the Egyptians controlled this area, from the time that Israel was created and established, and until today, they were for 20 years they were controlled by a terrorist organization. And when you live under a terrorist organization, everything you see, everything you do, everything you learn, the children, everything is about terror. And the culture now there is a culture of terror. And when they saw the massacre, they celebrated in the streets. And they were happy when they saw all the horrors. So I think that there is in Gaza there is a nation or a people that is really corrupted, and you cannot, and it doesn't matter if you take down Hamas, if you don't make sure that the people there don't have the chance to put on another Hamas. So, and in that case, in that sense, I want to remind you that one of the most militaristic nations in history were the Japanese, and they were like they did to the Chinese and to the Koreans, and they did horrible things. And after the war, I don't want to suggest that we should nuke the Gaza, but I do think that after the war, the Americans controlled the Japanese for, I don't know if it was 10 years, and they had like the army controlling Japan, and they made sure that the education there and the culture there and the songs, you couldn't even like publish songs about war. Everything that was related to war was crushed down. And this is what we have, this is the mission that we have, because we need to understand that we let Hamas corrupt these people, and they need to be corrected back to a normal nation that takes care of its own and doesn't, like they say, love death more than we love life. So this is, I think, we don't have a choice here.
It's interesting, Shachar. My friend Jerome Marcus has an op-ed column in today's Wall Street Journal about Israel must have unconditional surrender in Gaza. Exactly what you're talking about, because we are not going to go to war in order to hand Gaza over to the Palestinian Authority. I mean, that's an absolute bad joke and an absurdity. And the idea of an unconditional surrender really means a fundamental house cleaning, like you're talking about, the educational system, the culture, the media. You have to uproot a society and a culture that has been hateful and is terror-oriented, and it will take quite a bit of time. It doesn't mean that we have to be in control of day-to-day life in Gaza. It does mean that Gaza must be demilitarized for sure, and that we have to make sure that what follows it is not, like you said, just another continuation, maybe without Hamas, but Hamas light or Hamas look-alike, because that will not accomplish anything. There needs to be a fundamental change in that society, in that place.
By the way, one of the interesting things is that I don't know if a lot of people thought about it. A lot of the people who were kidnapped came from the kibbutzim in the small villages.
I was going to say that, yeah.
And those people were like very, I wouldn't say hippies, but they were like very much to the left. By the way, this is amazing. Some of the people that were kidnapped or brutally murdered were people who volunteered to drive Gaza people to hospitals in Israel.
Yeah.
And they were butchered,
Right.
been beheaded in the most horrific ways that people can not even imagine, because a normal person cannot imagine those things. He needs to see them on Telegram, what those animals did.
So it's inconceivable. How do you then say, well, we need a two-state solution, or we need to give them sovereignty? One of the casualties of October 7th has been the idea of should be the idea of a peace plan, of a two-state solution, of the left. I mean, as you point out, the left, many of these are left-wing communities that were, bringing in workers from Gaza. They were friends with people from Gaza. They were taking the kids to hospitals, to medical care in Israel. And a lot good it did them, right? When it came to it, it meant absolutely nothing.
Another thing that is very interesting to mention, and it's connected to something that you said in the beginning, Doug, is you said it about Esther Hayut, that few weeks ago everybody talked about her, and now no one even remembers that she's left office and she's not the president of the Supreme Court. Like, who cares? The people in those kibbutzim were very, very much against the government, very, very much against the judicial reform. A lot of them are very, 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 very secular, but in the attack, Hamas did very intensive intelligence work. So how they murdered a lot of people in the kibbutzim, they knocked on the door and they shout, Tzahal, 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 IDF. And people opened the door because who is shouting Tzahal? And when they opened the door, they murdered the people. So the people in the kibbutzim started to update each other that this is what Hamas is doing. Then one time, a special unit, the Shayetet, very special commando unit, was tried to free one of the houses, and they said Tzahal, Tzahal, and they didn't open the door. So they shouted Shema Yisrael Adonai Echad, and they opened the door because Shema Yisrael is very Jewish sentence. So it's like, yeah, everything mixed, and Judaism came to save the people. But it's Dov, you want maybe to? Well, very soon we will finish the conversation. But Dov, you live very close to those bastards. Do you want to give us your input?
I think Dov
Yeah.
left. Oh,
No, I'm here.
There he is.
So to give my input about the situation in Gaza or what we should do or something.
What? Look, now a lot of people